Hello everyone. Wishing you a safe, healthy, and prosperous new year ahead. Today we will discuss what are nullification and logical deletion of individual case safety reports in pharmacovigilance. So let's start. To understand this, first we will discuss steps in ICSR case processing. Ideally, ICSR case processing step starts once you receive any safety reports from any source. You can refer to my previous video about pharmacovigilance reports, sources and types for more detail about the sources of reports. So once you received safety report, our first step is triage or book-in of the case into safety database. Safety database are nothing but the software which we use to archive individual case safety reports for medicinal product from all sources. Our second step in ICSR case processing is data entry of ICSR into safety database. Then next step is peer review or quality review of ICSR. Fourth step is medical review of ICSR. And last step is submission of ICSR to regulatory authority. So workflow of ICSR is mainly divided into three parts. First part is case processing, which includes steps from triage to medical review of ICSR. Second part is generation of ICSR safety reports from the safety database. And third part is submission of generated reports to the regulatory authority. Till now, whatever we have discussed is just an overview of ICSR case processing in safety database. This will help you to understand nullification and logical deletion process of ICSR cases in safety database. Now let's discuss the concept logical deletion. For example, you receive a safety report and you have performed triage of that report into safety database. Once triage done, database will assign a unique serial number for each case which we called as case ID. So after generation of case ID in safety database, you found out that the case you just booked does not have a 4 valid criteria in it. If you found out this issue before submission of case to regulatory authority, then we can logically delete the case from safety database with proper reasoning. And that case ID no longer available in the safety database. On the other hand, concept of nullification is applicable when after ICSR report got submitted to regulatory authority, you realize that submitted case cannot have 4 valid criteria in it. In such scenario, we cannot directly delete the case from safety database. Here we need to resubmit the case to regulatory authority, stating that case erroneously or by mistake submitted to the regulatory authority. This process called as nullification of the case. So after resubmission with proper reasoning, that case is now treated by regulatory authority as nullified case. And such cases can only be used for scientific evaluation thereafter. In simple language, nullification of ICSR case is nothing but the notification from pharma company to the regulatory authority. Now let's discuss few scenarios to understand nullification and logical deletion concept in detail. First scenario is, an individual case has been identified as a duplicate of another individual case which is previously submitted to the regulatory authority. In this scenario, we did duplicate submission of ICSR reports to regulatory authority. Once you identified this issue, the case which was submitted earlier to the regulatory authority should be retained, and another individual case should be nullified. In this case, we need to submit both retained case and nullified case to the regulatory authority. And while submitting to the regulatory authority, we need to update the narrative of both retained and nullified case. You can mention in narrative, upon follow-up information, the case mentioned retailed case ID was identified as duplicate of the case mentioned nullified case ID. Hence, all the additional information from the case mentioned nullified case ID was merged in the case mentioned retailed case ID, and case mentioned nullified case ID should be nullified. I know it's a confusing sentence. Please read out again to understand it completely. So this narrative update is treated as nullification notification from pharma company to regulatory authority. Now let's discuss another scenario. You have submitted initial ICSR report to the regulatory authority with all 4 minimum criteria, which is suspect drug, adverse event, identifiable patient, and identifiable reporter. After submission of ICSR report, you received follow-up information for the same case. And the information we receive in follow-up is the adverse reaction occurred before the suspect drug was taken by the patient. So now after receiving follow-up, our case does not have one of the validity criteria, which is adverse event. In such scenario, this case should be nullified. And while resubmitting the case to the regulatory authority as nullified report, we need to write in the narrative section of the case. Upon follow-up, it was confirmed that the adverse reaction occurred before the suspect drug was taken. Hence, due to lack of event associated with the drug, this case is treated as nullified case. Now this follow-up report is considered as nullification notification from pharma company to regulatory authority. Another scenario is, upon follow-up on an individual case, it is confirmed that the patient did not receive the suspect drug. So here also, minimum reporting criteria for an ICSR are no longer met. So in this scenario also, this case should be nullified. And while resubmitting the case to the regulatory authority, we need to write in the narrative section of the case. Upon follow-up, it was confirmed that the patient did not receive the suspect drug. Hence, due to lack of suspect drug, this case should be nullified. This resubmission of follow-up information is treated as nullification notification from pharma company to regulatory authority. Another scenario is, upon follow-up on an individual case, it is confirmed that the reported adverse reaction did not occur to the patient. So in this scenario also, this case should be nullified. While resubmitting the case to the regulatory authority, we need to write in the narrative section of the case. Upon follow-up, it was confirmed that patient did not experience the event after taking drug which is reported previously. Hence, due to lack of event, the case should be nullified. So the basic difference between logical deletion and nullification is, in logical deletion, case is permanently deleted from the safety database and no notification was sent to the regulatory authority. As case is only in safety database and ICSR report is not yet submitted. So logical deletion is permanent deletion of case from the safety database. On the other hand, in nullification, case is deleted from the safety database but this deletion is not permanent. We can use that case for scientific evaluation, like periodic safety update report and development safety update report. So that's it for today. Hope you understand the concepts of logical deletion and nullification of ICSR report in pharmacovigilance. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It will motivate me to create more such videos. Thank you.